All right, you guys asked for cinnamon rolls, so we're going to make some cinnamon rolls this week. The only thing is you have to have yeast and you have to have flour, and those are both kind of hard to find right now, so I hope you either have some or you can find some so you can participate. Okay, so you need 1 packet of dry yeast. You need 4.5 cups of flour. You're going to need milk, sugar, salt, eggs and butter, and this is just for the dough. Then you're also going to need cinnamon and brown sugar and a little bit more butter for the filling. So there's lots of good stuff in our cinnamon rolls. These are really delicious. We've made these before in Culinary Arts. I'm going to sprinkle my yeast around in there and then whisk it up, and that's step 1. Okay, so you want to put the milk, your 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of butter and salt all in a small saucepan, and then we're going to melt this, and once it's all melted we're going to put it into the flour that we already measured. You're going to want to stir it the whole time because, as you guys probably remember, the milk and the sugar both are prone to burning, so you do want to stir it until it all melts down. Okay, so I have my butter and milk mixture here melted, and I'm going to very slowly pour it in, and then I'm going to use a fork to do the mixing, and then slowly add a little bit more and use a fork to do the mixing. Okay, and then just keep adding just a very small amount, because remember this is warm and this warmth is going to activate the yeast. So I'm just pouring a little bit at a time and mixing it in with my fork. The fork really is the best tool. You don't want to use a whisk because it'll all get just stuck in the middle of a whisk. So your fork is your friend right now. Okay, so you want to crack your eggs one at a time and then put them into the dough. And use your fork to mix them in. And the dough mixture is warm. It feels, warm to the touch, and that is totally fine. Okay, so mix them in. There's one. Second one will crack. Put it in the bowl. Mix it in, still using our fork. Breaking up the mixture as I go, trying to get the egg evenly distributed. Okay, and then the third one. And then the next thing we're going to do is, once you get this mixed in pretty good, we're going to flip it out onto the countertop. Okay, so 3 eggs. And once it starts to come together, we're going to get a little flour and we're going to turn this onto the countertop. All right, so I've got some flour. You don't have to measure it. Somewhere less than 1/4 cup probably. And then I'm going to spread this out onto the countertop and turn out my dough. Get what I can out of the bowl. And now it's time to use my hands. So I want to get some dough on my hands, some flour on my hands, sorry, and work it in. And if your dough is sticky, you just add a little bit more flour. It should not be so liquidy you have webbed hands. See, this is not like stuck to my hands. You should be able to manage the dough. If it's too wet and sticky, just add flour. So even though the recipe says 4.5 cups, you're probably going to need more, like 5 cups, probably not more than 5 cups. And then just knead it until it's smooth. And it takes a while. Like, this will probably take you anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes worth of kneading, because you want to knead it until it's not sticky anymore and it's nice and smooth and elasticy. All right, so I kneaded this until it's really nice and smooth, and now I'm gonna roll it out with my rolling pin, and you want it to be into the shape of about a square foot, so 12 inches by 12 inches. You do ideally want it to be pretty square, so you're gonna have to manipulate it a little bit. So move it around, pick it up, flip it over, stretch it out. You're gonna have to really convince it wants to be the shape we're going for. And these cinnamon rolls end up really good. They end up very like Cinnabon-y. I've made these many, many times. So we're trying to shape the dough about 12 inches square. Okay, so as you saw in the recipe, you can put some extra fruit fillings in if you want. I know most of you don't want to, and that's okay. But this is apple that I cut up, and I'm gonna add that to mine, okay? And then this is a stick of butter, and you want your butter to be cold. So mine's very cold because I keep my butter in the freezer a lot of the time. So I'm gonna cut it up into very small pieces, and the reason it's so hard to cut is because it just came out of the freezer. And then I'm gonna break it up, and this is us making the filling, and I'm gonna add it to this, which is brown sugar, flour, and cinnamon, okay? So I'm gonna break it up pretty small, and then add it in here. And in a minute here, we'll mix it up. All right, my assistant is taking over for me here, and you can see he's mixing up the butter. Those are the little butter chunks. And the brown sugar, the flour, and the cinnamon. And then we're gonna sprinkle it onto the dough. Now, so this is about 12 inches square. We're gonna leave this top edge totally empty, free of any kind of filling. So we're gonna sprinkle it on. And you know, any kind of baking, it's always kind of messy. It's okay. As long as you clean up. I'm sure your parents agree. It is okay as long as you clean up. So you want to make it as even as possible. And again, keep this part empty. Any edge that I just chose the top edge. It doesn't really matter. He was for the bowl. There we go. Yeah. Now you want to move it around so it's pretty even, and then we're going to sprinkle our apples on top of that. And if you want to do like golden raisins or craisins or none, I know you will all choose none. I am not blind to that. But I really like adding a little something, some fruit to my cinnamon rolls. I think it's really yummy. There we go. That looks awesome. Okay, so next we're going to roll it up. Okay, so we're going to roll it up. The end where you left it plain is the last thing you want to roll, okay? So we're going to start with the end that is, on mine, closest to me, but the one that does have filling. And you want to make sure you have filling going all the way to the edges, because if you don't, those last cinnamon rolls won't have any filling. They'll just be dough, okay? And then we're going to roll it nice and tight. And we've done this in class. You guys probably remember we've done some stuff where we had to roll things. And you want to roll. It's a little stuck to the counter, but it's fine. Roll it up. Shove the stuff in the ends as we go. Get that out of the way. Rolling, rolling, rolling. Stretching this out on the end here. I'm going to stretch it out so that it'll seal it up really nicely. Pulling this out so that it'll match up. And look at that gigantic, chubby log of deliciousness. Okay, so now we want to cut this into 8 pieces. So you want to start in the middle, make yourself a mark, and then go in the middle and do it into quarters first so that it's, you know, even when you're done. And I'm just making my markings, and then I'll go down and cut through. And see it that? It's so pretty. And then we're gonna, I'm just stuffing in some little tidbits of things that have fallen out. And I'm gonna set these into my pan, and you wanna set them that direction, okay? Just like those spirals we made in class. So I'm gonna cut all 8 of them and set each one, look at that, so pretty, into the pan. All right, as you can see, they've risen. They are beautiful, super duper fluffy. And now I'm gonna brush the tops of them with a little half and half. It'll give them like a nice glazy finish. So if you don't have half and half, you can use just regular milk. You don't have to buy special half and half for this event. It is totally fine. It will like seal them and make them look very beautiful. And then I'm going to put these in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. And I think you'll be very impressed with what comes out of the oven. They're going to be so beautiful. And then we'll make a glaze to put over the top. All right, so I have my powdered sugar here. We're going to make the glaze, and this is my half and half. You could use milk. It would work just the same. And then you want to stir this up. And this is going to be very, very thick and delicious. Stir it, stir it, stir it. And it seems like a lot of sugar to just a tiny bit of milk, but it works out nicely. All right, so there's our glaze. Now we have baked these beauties for 30 minutes. Holy cow, look at that. We're gonna pull them out of there. And I always like I don't like the ends. I like the second one in. So for me, this is the perfect cinnamon roll here. And we're gonna get this guy out of here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that, look at that. And then we put our glaze, drizzle. Of course you don't have to put glaze on top. It is not a requirement. But you drizzle yourself some glaze on there. And then you are good to go. Who needs Cinnabon, right guys? There we go.